Welcome to the Battle of Thermopylae. A small force led by King Leonidas made a legendary last stand at the Battle of Thermopylae against the massive Persian army. Imagine a narrow coastal pass hemmed in by towering cliffs and the Aegean Sea. This is Thermopylae on the east coast of central Greece, the Hot Gates, named for the sulphurous springs nearby. It's a choke point, a place where geography itself becomes a weapon. Here, one of history's most iconic battles was fought. On one side, the mighty Persian Empire, led by Xerxes. On the other, a coalition of Greek city-states, vastly outnumbered. Their champion? King Leonidas and his legendary 300 Spartans. The stage is set, the stakes couldn't be higher. The Greeks used the terrain to their advantage. Thermopylae would force the Persians to fight on Greek terms. To understand Thermopylae, we need to rewind back in time. In 490 BC, Persian Emperor Darius I invaded Greece, seeking revenge for Athenian support of rebellious Greek cities in Ionia. The Persians were defeated at the Battle of Marathon. Xerxes, Darius's son, vowed revenge. He spent years assembling a massive army from his vast empire. Xerxes' army was a force to be reckoned with. Leading this vast force was Xerxes himself, determined to avenge his father's defeat. The invasion of Greece was a matter of personal honor for Xerxes. It was one of the most prominent battles of both the Second Persian Invasion of Greece and the wider Greco-Persian Wars, which were a series of conflicts between the Achaemenid Empire and Greek city-states. Facing this Persian juggernaut was Leonidas, king of Sparta. Sparta was a warrior society, its citizens trained from birth for battle. Sparta was above all a militarist state, unique in ancient Greece for its social system and constitution. When male Spartans began military training at age 7, they would enter the agouge system, which was designed to encourage discipline and physical toughness and to emphasize the importance of the Spartan state. Leonidas was the embodiment of Spartan discipline and courage, a warrior king leading his people in defense of their homeland. He brought with him to Thermopylae 300 Spartans, the elite of the Spartan army, all veterans of previous campaigns. These were no ordinary soldiers. They were the Spartan hoplites, heavily armed and armored, wielding long spears and short swords. They fought as a unit, their shields interlocked, forming an impenetrable wall of bronze and flesh. The renowned account of the Battle of Thermopylae, as documented by Greek historian Herodotus, includes a significant consultation with the Oracle of Delphi, a high priestess of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. It is said that the oracle delivered a prophetic message to the Spartans, foretelling the impending conflict. Herodotus tells us that Leonidas, in line with the prophecy, was convinced he was going to certain death since his forces were not adequate for a victory. On the other side stood Xerxes, the Persian king who served as the fourth king of the Achaemenid Empire, also known as the Persian Empire. Used to absolute obedience, Xerxes viewed himself as a god-king, his power absolute. Xerxes sent a Persian emissary to negotiate with Leonidas. The Greeks were offered their freedom, the title Friends of the Persian People, and the opportunity to resettle on land better than that they possessed. He expected the Greeks to cower before his might, to surrender their freedom in the face of overwhelming odds. When Leonidas refused these terms, the ambassador carried a written message by Xerxes, asking him to hand over your arms. Leonidas's famous response to the Xerxes was, "Come and take them." He underestimated the resolve of the Greeks, their fierce love for their freedom, and their willingness to die for it. With the Persian emissary returning empty-handed, the battle became inevitable. Xerxes, accustomed to quick victories and easy conquests, would soon learn that the Greeks were made of sterner stuff. He would come to know the true meaning of Spartan courage. The engagement at Thermopylae occurred simultaneously with the naval Battle of Artemisium between July and September 480 BC. Around the start of the invasion, Greek force was reinforced en route to Thermopylae by contingents from various cities and numbered more than 7,000 led by Leonidas, marched north to block the pass of Thermopylae. King Leonidas chose to camp and defend the middle gate. the narrowest part of the pass of Thermopylae, where the Phocians had built a defensive wall. The Spartans and their Greek allies formed a defensive line at the narrowest point of the pass, their shields interlocked, their spears bristling, ready to meet the Persian onslaught. The Persian army, estimated by ancient authors to number in the millions, arrived at Thermopylae. On the first day of the battle at Thermopylae, Xerxes ordered 5,000 archers to shoot a barrage of arrows. But they were ineffective as the Greeks' wooden shields, covered with a very thin layer of bronze and bronze helmets, deflected the arrows. The Persians soon launched a frontal assault in waves of around 10,000 men. The Greeks fought in front of the Phocian wall, at the narrowest part of the pass, which enabled them to use as few soldiers as possible. Their hope lay in using the narrow terrain to their advantage, funneling the Persian army into the pass where their numbers would count for little. The weaker shields and shorter spears and swords of the Persians prevented them from effectively engaging the Greek hoplites. It was a classic example of using terrain and tactics to offset numerical inferiority. Greek historian Herodotus says that the units fighting for each city were kept together, and the warriors were rotated in and out of the battle to prevent fatigue, which implies the Greeks had more men than necessary to block the pass. The Persians, initially dismissive of the small Greek force, attacked with their usual ferocity. The Spartans reportedly used a tactic of feigning retreat and then turning and killing the enemy troops when they ran after them. During 2 full days of battle, the Greeks blocked the only road by which the massive Persian army could traverse the narrow pass. The terrain of the battlefield was nothing that Xerxes and his forces were accustomed to. The Persians were not prepared for the real nature of the country they had invaded. King Leonidas and his men chose the perfect topographical position to battle the Persian invaders. Wave after wave of Persians crashed against the Spartan line, only to be thrown back with heavy losses. The Greeks held firm. The narrow terrain prevented the Persians from bringing in their superior numbers, and their cavalry was useless in the close confines of the pass. After failing to make any headway against the Greeks, for 2 days the Spartans held off lesser elements of the imperial army. After the second day, as the Persian king Xerxes was pondering what to do next, a local resident named Ephialtes betrayed his homeland in hope of receiving rewards from Persians, revealed the existence of a path leading behind the Greek lines, a way to get past the middle gate and turn the Greek position. Leonidas, aware that his force was being outflanked by the Persians, dismissed the bulk of the Greek army and remained to guard their retreat along with 300 Spartans and 700 Thespians. At daybreak on the third day, the Phocians guarding the path above Thermopylae became aware of the outflanking Persians. For 3 days, the Greeks held the pass against the Persian onslaught. However, not wishing to be delayed, the Persians merely shot a volley of arrows at them before bypassing them to continue with their encirclement of the main Greek force. Learning from a runner that the Phocians had not held the path, Leonidas called a council of war at dawn. Some of the Greeks argued for withdrawal, but Leonidas resolved to stay at the pass with the Spartans. The Spartans, led by Leonidas, fought with legendary courage, their discipline and training evident in the face of overwhelming odds. They fought not for glory nor for conquest, but for their freedom and the freedom of their families. Upon discovering that his army had been encircled, Leonidas told his allies that they could leave if they wanted to. While many of the Greeks took him up on his offer and fled, the rest of the soldiers stayed behind to fight and die. Their stand at Thermopylae was a testament to the strength of human courage and determination in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Knowing that the end was near, the Greeks marched into the open field and met the Persians head-on. Xerxes, seeing a chance to finally defeat the stubborn Greeks, sent a contingent of his elite troops, the Immortals, to take the pass. The Greeks, betrayed and surrounded, fought with the courage of desperation. It is commonly stated that the Spartans were obeying the laws of Sparta by not retreating. Xerxes made libations, pausing to allow the Immortals sufficient time to descend the mountain, and then began his advance. A Persian force of 10,000 men, comprising light infantry and cavalry, charged at the front of the Greek formation. The Greeks this time sallied forth from the wall to meet the Persians in the wider part of the pass, in an attempt to slaughter as many Persians as they could. They knew they were doomed, but they would sell their lives dearly. The Persian flanking maneuver sealed the fate of the Greeks at Thermopylae. They fought with spears until every spear was shattered. Xerxes ordered the hill to be surrounded, and the Persians rained down arrows until every last Greek was dead. Leonidas, realizing the battle was lost, remained behind with his 300 Spartans and a contingent of Thespian and Theban warriors, determined to make a final stand. They knew they faced certain death, but their sacrifice would buy precious time for the other Greeks to regroup and prepare for the next stage of the war. The final stand of the Spartans is one of the most iconic moments in military history. Outnumbered and surrounded, they fought with unparalleled ferocity, their courage and determination echoing through the ages. They inflicted heavy losses on the Persians, killing thousands before finally succumbing to the enemy onslaught. Leonidas, the Spartan king, fell alongside his men, a testament to Spartan courage and leadership. Their sacrifice, though a tactical defeat, would serve as a beacon of inspiration for the Greek resistance. The pass at Thermopylae was thus opened to the Persian army. Following Thermopylae, the Persian army proceeded to sack and burn Plataea and Thespiae, the Boeotian cities that had not submitted, before it marched on the now evacuated city of Athens and accomplished the Achaemenid destruction of Athens. After the Persians departed, the Greeks collected their dead and buried them on the hill. Following the defeat of the Persian invasion, a stone lion was erected at Thermopylae to commemorate Leonidas. The Battle of Thermopylae, though a defeat for the Greeks, was a moral victory of immense significance. The stand of the 300 Spartans became a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and unwavering determination in the face of insurmountable odds. It showed the world the strength of the Greek spirit, their willingness to fight and die for their freedom. The sacrifice at Thermopylae bought precious time for the other Greek city-states to prepare for the Persian invasion. It also served as a rallying cry, uniting the fractious Greek world against a common enemy. The Greeks, inspired by the courage of the Spartans, would go on to defeat the Persians at the Battle of Salamis later that same year, effectively ending Xerxes' invasion. The Battle of Thermopylae, though a defeat, paved the way for the ultimate Greek victory, ensuring the survival of Greek civilization. The Battle of Thermopylae, one of the most famous battles in European ancient history, has captured the imagination of artists, writers and filmmakers for centuries. From ancient Greek plays to modern Hollywood blockbusters, the stand of the 300 Spartans has been immortalized in countless works of art. Each generation interprets the battle through its own lens, drawing inspiration from the courage and sacrifice of the Spartans. The battle has been depicted in literature, poetry, painting, sculpture and film. Each retelling adds its own interpretation to the events, highlighting different aspects of the battle and its significance. The Spartans, with their laconic wit and unwavering courage, have become cultural icons, their story a source of inspiration and fascination for generations. There are several monuments around the battlefield of Thermopylae. One is a statue of King Leonidas, portrayed as bearing a spear and shield. While the legend of Thermopylae looms large, it's important to separate fact from fiction. The battle has been romanticized and mythologized over the centuries, often obscuring the historical realities of the event. Modern historians, through careful analysis of ancient sources and archaeological evidence, have sought to reconstruct a more accurate picture of the battle. The true story of Thermopylae, while less glamorous than the legend, is no less compelling. It's a story of courage, sacrifice, and the determination of a small group of warriors to stand against overwhelming odds. It's a reminder that even in defeat, there can be honor and glory, and that the actions of a few can have a profound impact on the course of history. The Battle of Thermopylae stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of those willing to fight for their freedom. It's a story that has resonated through the ages, inspiring countless generations with its message of courage, sacrifice, and unwavering determination. The 300 Spartans, though long gone, continue to remind us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, it's possible to make a stand, to fight for what you believe in, and to leave behind a legacy that will echo through the ages. The hot gates may be silent now, but the echoes of that ancient battle still resonate. Thermopylae reminds us that freedom is worth fighting for, that courage can bloom even in the face of certain defeat, and that the sacrifices of the past continue to shape our present. It's a story that will continue to inspire as long as there are those who value freedom and those willing to fight for it.